everyone, and welcome to L&D Nexus podcast. I am your host, Dinah, and today I'm thrilled to welcome a very special guest for us, William Jackson, who is not only a certified AI, VR, Metaverse, and STEAM educator, but also a visionary entrepreneur and global advocate for youth empowerment. Today's episode is all about how learning and development, or L&D, empowers young adults in the use of AI to make informed career choices. So, to start, I will ask you just a simple question. Can you share us a bit about your background, William?
Okay. Well, thank you for inviting me here. It's a pleasure to be here. The journey being involved in technology started as a teacher. I'm a teacher of 30 years. My background is in STEM and STEAM. If you're not familiar with what STEM and STEAM is, science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. My wife and I have created curriculums over the years, integrating all of those areas into hands-on project development, hands-on learning opportunities for youth, teens, and young adults, and even in some cases, adults. So we've been doing this for quite a while. My wife is also registered and certified AI artist and web designer. We enjoy the engagement, we enjoy the teaching, we enjoy the opportunity to share how technology is really influencing careers today in our society and also in the future. So our goal is to teach and train and consult as educators and business owners as well, how to effectively and efficiently use technology.
Okay, that's very inspiring. And why is global education, especially for young generation, youth, teens, and young adults, such a passion for you?
Well, when you look at it, a lot of business owners and corporations, not just here in the States, but globally, are making sure that they have the personnel that are intelligent, creative, innovative, and using imagination, able to come into those environments and start working. Unfortunately, in some cases with the educational system, there's not an inspiration to be imaginative or an inspiration to be creative or innovative unless you're in a specific subject area like the arts or music. And many businesses often complain about how their workers are not properly prepared. So over the years, Aida and I have been developing curriculums because young people need to be prepared before they go and actually start in the workforce. And that also includes university, because you get the academic instruction, which is great, but sometimes the soft people skills of how to communicate, how to collaborate, how to cooperate and work together are often not addressed or lost or not emphasized. So our goal is to take the technological aspect and have our students or participants create projects, build projects, design projects that are hands-on learning, that integrate multiple technologies from high level to low level, but take those skills and be able to go into employment. Even in university, a lot of times they have, the laboratories where they're teaching those skills as well, but taking it from the academic standpoint into the business standpoint is very important and key for people to be successful. And we try to make it fun as well. You got to have fun with what you're doing. You have to enjoy what you're doing. And as the example with AI is influencing everything. So how do you take your AI knowledge from either being basic or advanced and use those tools to build employees to be able to work in those environments, but also encourage them to be creative and innovative in designing and producing products and services to help people.
Wow. Yes, actually, you're correct. And how does L&D fit in with you being a teacher and business owner?
Well, one of the things with L&D, and I'm glad you brought that up, that's a good question. When talking to Manus, it's important to understand that we live in a global economy. Even though there's some instances where businesses or companies or corporations want to isolate themselves and have their one little niche, but our world isn't based on that. You know, with the economic changes that are happening now
Mm-hmm.
here in the United States that people have been watching, we rely heavily on Mexico, and we rely heavily on China. We even rely on Russia and Ukraine and South Korea for products and services that are not made here in the United States. So when you think about it, you think about the global trade aspect, but you also think
Mm-hmm.
about how technology blends us all together in the aspect of e-commerce. We teach our students that you need to be knowledgeable about the financial and economic situation around the world, because as you can see, it influences product and development. It influences research and development. It influences our communication. And as we were talking about before we came online, that it's amazing that here in the United States, it is 15 after 9. And where you are, you're several hours ahead of us, but yet we have a chance to talk instantaneously. So this is wonderful how the technology blends what we're doing, but also how it affects us educationally, business, e-commerce, financially, and banking. So we have to be able to make sure our young people in the next generation understand this process and how important it is.
Yes. And next question, how are you actually inspiring young generation to use virtual reality education, artificial intelligence when they think about future careers?
Mhm. Well, one of the things, we have been part of a community called WordPress, and WordPress manages 45% of web development globally, maybe a little bit more. And during our years of being involved in WordPress, we have spoken at WordCamp conferences internationally, and we share, it's not just about the web development aspect, which
Mm-hmm.
is important, but how AI now influences web development. You can make a web page using AI. You can make a social media platform, a social media, integrate those technologies with AI. So when you're blending those concepts and ideas, you're creating a product or you're creating a service. So once you start doing that, you expose or share your knowledge and understanding of how tech can build and design and create phenomenal opportunities of collaboration. So during that process, Aida and I, we, during our instruction, share, we're teaching in Europe a couple of years ago. We were in Greece. We were in Athens, Greece, teaching a class to teens. Before that, we were in Canada, teaching a class in Canada. So we share our travels, where we are and what we're doing, but we let them know that in your career or their career, they may be traveling different places using different types of technology, but the cultural understanding of, even though I'm using tech, I have to understand the people that we are teaching and that we collaborate with. So what we like to do is to blend those elements. So let's say we're talking about AI. Well, how can AI help someone in Africa, where we do a lot of work in Uganda and Kenya and South Africa and Nigeria? Or if we're teaching in Italy, a couple of years ago, we were in Italy, Turin, Italy. We were teaching young people about using technology there. Some of them didn't speak Italian, they spoke a different language, but using the tools like Google Translate and other tools, we were able to communicate with each other. So setting those examples of how to integrate the technology to blend together and communicate is important.
Mm-hmm. Actually, yes, this is the most common use of this kind of technologies just to fix the language barrier, but this is just
Right.
a simple example. And I know you and your wife, Aida, have done some incredible global teaching work. Can you just share your experience?
Well, one of the things too, as I was sharing, is globally teaching, but also globally consulting small business owners and about using and integrating different levels of technology to expand your business. We also we hear about the terms being a creator, being a producer, being a consumer. So we are on the side of being a creator and a producer of technology, and talking to people about, well, what are your aspirations? What do you want to do? What do you want to achieve? What are your skills and talents? So blending the personal idea in their mind about, well, I have a skill and talent in engineering, or I like math, or I enjoy medicine, or I enjoy reading or languages. How can you take those talents and those gifts and skills and blend them and create a business as an entrepreneur? And when you're talking to people about, looking inside of yourself to understand what you're good at, what your passion is, as opposed to what people say you should be doing, look at your creative aspects and your desire. So once you understand that, many people see that they have more than one gift or more than one talent. So how do you combine those in creating a business, and how do you design those in building yourself as an entrepreneur? And we've developed several curriculums where it takes through the steps. And I'll give an example using AI and talking to AI, literally talking to the AI and telling AI, well, I am good at reading, I am good at math, I am good at science or engineering. What careers are available in those areas that I'm good at? And you're prompting those or asking those questions to AI in a generic way, and AI will give you the information from what it knows about you or what it gets off the internet and even the metaverse, and give you examples. Well, then you can specify, well, if you're good at math, what area of math are you good at? Why do you think you're good at math? A lot of people that are great at math, for whatever reason, are embarrassed or hesitant because they love math. Our thing is, like, if you love math, let everybody know, because mathematicians run the world. It's a beautiful thing to understand numbers. I'm not a mathematician, so I rely on our accountant and other people to help, manage what we do. But in that case, accept your passion, accept what you like to do, and embrace it. Also, one of the important things about that is don't just limit yourself to people in your community and your environment. Like I said before, we are an international community. Embrace the international connections. So we're connecting right here on this podcast and sharing this information. So when it's broadcast out to the world, the prayer is that it will inspire and encourage other people that watch it, no matter their gender, generation, their cultural background, but empowers everyone.
Yeah, actually, I got from your speech one more question just from my brain instantly. Okay, I have heard many opinions about building a business from zero for young people.
Right.
You're saying a lot of information which is actually matching with what I heard. And some people, most of people these days, they say to build a business, you have to just understand your strong features, your strong sides, your talents, first of all, your talents. And only after that, build discipline based on these talents. So what is actually more important, or this is in the same way important to have discipline and have talent?
Right. Well, you have to have both, and a few other things. Because number one, when you understand your skills and talents, that's a base or foundation, because when you know what you're good at, you're going to enjoy what you're good at. You're going to enjoy knowing, okay, you love music, you can be a musicologist. If you love science, there's so many different areas of scientific discovery and research. You just have to figure out, like, what area of science. There are a lot of young people that love animals and they want to be a veterinarian. Well, veterinary medicine is so specific now. What are you going to, focus on? The internal aspect of animals, the bones, the muscles, different tissues, diseases, cancers. What area of specificity are you going to focus on? And how are you going to move from your mind and your passion to actually learning about those areas and creating a model for a business? Well, you have to go to school. You have to get a degree or certification. So that's the next step. The other step is, okay, as you're going through that process of school, traditional school, where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years? And when my wife and I, we were growing up, we compared notes like, okay, what did you learn in high school? What did you learn in high school? What did you learn in university? That information. But we also look at um, making a plan for 5 to 10 to 15 years in your future. Now, the plan can be fluid. That's why it's important that you write it down. And the written word is very powerful. So in our sessions and workshops, or even speaking at conferences, we encourage everybody to write down your vision for what you want to become in 5 to 10 or 15 years. Now, because of the dynamics of going to school and getting certifications, that will probably change a little bit. But you keep in mind that this is something that you want to accomplish, that you want to do. And as you said, that's the discipline that comes into it, working towards achieving that goals. You set small goals and you set big goals. I'll give you an example. When I first started teaching, I was a health and physical education teacher for 15 years. I taught PE. So I was outside working with the kids. I was teaching sports skills. I was coaching at the school. But then when I started getting involved in technology, I started meeting a lot of people in those areas. So the goals that I set for myself was to learn as much as possible about tech, but also how I could use it in teaching. I went to conferences, I took workshops, I did a lot of studying, I watched YouTube videos so I could build up my foundational skills, and then decided to go back to school to get a master's in educational technology, which I did. And I learned more and was exposed more to different people and environments to help me achieve the goal now as being a technologist, a blogger, a writer, business owner, and Aida and I having our technology consulting and training business. So it's a step-by-step process, and it is fluid, it does change. But as you said, the discipline is important because you have to make sure you discipline yourself to achieve your goals as you're working forward to what you want to accomplish.
Well, yeah, actually, this is what I was imagining. Like, first, you need to understand your strengths, then you have to build a proper plan and have enough discipline to follow this plan.
Right, exactly. And then one of the things too is if you know you're weak in a particular area, it's like we were talking about, I'm very weak in mathematics. Um, so in our business, we have an accountant that helps us manage our finances. So we rely on our accountant to do that so we don't make mistakes. So if you're not good at a particular subject area, find somebody that is, so you can partner and collaborate with each other. Because we have to remember, and I'll use Google, for example, as a great example. When Google started out as a search engine, Zuckerberg and his team worked together to create a search engine. Next, they worked to create opportunities for people to advertise on that search engine. So they had a plan as they were building it. Next, they took it from a search engine to making it bigger and bigger and bigger till we have a giant social media platform or platforms that are able to buy smaller platforms and blend it to theirs to now where they're international. They're over $1 billion company. But it takes time and it takes a process, but it takes cooperation. And that cooperation can help you expand your vision as a business owner to wherever you want to, how big you want to be, how much you want to obtain. And you have to remember, it's not just about wealth. It's not just about money. It's about service to your local community, service to the international community. So that Aida and I, we've made up our mind that through our service, even though we're here in Jacksonville, Florida, we provide workshops, but also on a global scale, there's still a lot of people that want to, need to, desire to learn technology.
Yeah, actually, it's not only about money, you also have to have some mission. And
Right.
also, and let's talk now about diversity, representation. and inclusion. So why is representation and diversity important in technology
Mm-hmm.
careers, and how can learning and development actually help?
Well, when you say representation, there's a lot of different areas with representation. I'm gonna just cover them really quick. So you have gender representation, generational representation, cultural representation, educational representation in those areas. One of the things as you grow as a business owner and entrepreneurs, you never really know who's looking at you and who's following you. And it grows from your first post on social media, your first blog that you get published, or your book that you publish, because you make those connections with people that are like-minded. Um, just as a little background, I'm African American. I trace my bloodline back to Africa. I'm 88% African. Aida is Afro-Latina. Her family originated from Puerto Rico. So we're a blended family with our children and our marriage and our culture and relationships, but we're also focused in the business of helping businesses to grow, helping businesses to expand, but also seeing that there are benefits to connecting with people across the world. The world is not as big as it used to be. I guess I could say that because we're able to instantly communicate, and we can share content, we can share information. So even as we're talking, the information that we're sharing is important and key, because others that listen to it understand the idea. Well, I can't just focus on me. I have to focus on what's going on around me. Who am I involved in? Who am I engaged in? Who I can work with and collaborate with. The other part of that too is never discount people that may have disabilities or handicaps. Unfortunately, sometimes we discount them, but you focus on accessibility. You make sure that you are accessible to the community, but also those that have handicaps and disabilities can also participate, because they contribute as well. They're just as intelligent, just as creative. So you have to look past someone's disability or handicap to really see the blessings that they can bring into and provide.
Yeah, that should not be discrimination. And I guess sometimes people with some disabilities, they're even talented, even some of them more talented than just normal students in some universities. I have seen these cases.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about creating global spaces. You have created metaverse platforms focused on Africa, Latin America, and South America. So what inspired you to do that,
Right.
and how do you blend and integrate L&D with those spaces?
Well, the inspiration came from in early 2020, Aida and I were on several platforms where we were learning about AI, we were learning about Metaverse, we were learning about blending those technologies. So I love the blog. I love to write about my experiences and how people can blend tech in different areas of education. So I have to be transparent about this. Aida came to me and was telling me about the platform on the Metaverse. We use spatial and how you can design and build galleries. We were also learning about NFTs and blockchain and all those different technologies, how we could use them. Well, Aida had already created a Metaverse gallery for all her drawings and all her artwork. So she has an NFT gallery called that's on the platform Spatial, and how people can go in and buy her NFTs. At the time, I really didn't consider it. So as we were talking, the more and more she told me about it, the more in my mind I started developing a concept. Well, how could we use this? How can we monetize it? But also, how can we use it as a teaching tool? And the metaverse sites that are built, Africa, WP Metaverse is dedicated to all the 55, 56 nations in Africa, where there's flags and links to tech workshops and tech conferences celebrating the cultural diversity of Africa. The other one is Latin America. where we've spoken several times over the 5 or 6 years um, at WordCamp San Jose, Costa Rica, WordCamp Managua, Nicaragua, and supporting that environment and that the cultural diversity there with technology in South America as well. Because the inspiration was our parents, Aida's mom and my mom. They passed several years ago, but we use this to honor them and their culture and their background, being Hispanic and African American, because they were so I'll say the word powerful in inspiring us as we were growing up. Why education is important, why the blending of technology is important. So in honoring them, we said, well, we're going to be creative and create, several environments that represent their passion for learning and education. So using the spatial environment is important to show what's happening globally for all generations and all genders and cultures on these diverse platforms, but also the inspiration of mothers to their children about learning and being excited about learning and being creative. And we thought that this would be a great way to do that and continue to inspire us to do it as well.
Wow. Actually, this is a great story. How you got inspired to create all these three metaverse spaces, and this is amazing work that you have done. And the next question, let's talk about future of AI and L&D. So as someone working at the intersection of technology and education, what do you see in the future of AI and L&D?
Wow. Well, let's start with L&D. L&D is a priority because L&D learning and development is important on a global scale because you have to have that information in your head about how am I going to learn as much as possible and apply it to developing the skills and talents that I need to be successful, whether it's in academia, whether it's in business, whether it's as an entrepreneur. And also that contributes to the collaboration of people, like I said, that are like-minded and that see the importance and value of the learning aspect. So even though I'm a career teacher, when I say learning and education, I don't necessarily mean in a traditional classroom. A lot of learning happens outside the classroom, which is important. And as educators, you're an educator, I'm an educator, Manus is an educator in our own way. When we're teaching or talking to someone or sharing information, it's important that they can take that information there and readily apply it right then and there. Because once you don't use it, our minds are like, well, I don't use this information. I don't know when I'm going to use it, and they throw it away. And that's one of the downfalls of traditional education. You have to teach to what the person is going to use or aspire to be. So that's where learning and development, L&D, is important. Manus and I have had, conversations about what direction to take L&D, how it can help globally, how it can help locally where we each are, but also making these connections as business owners as well to grow a business. Now, with that said, the technological part is it makes it easier for all of us to connect together. It makes it easier for all of us to communicate together. It makes it easier for all of us to expand and share our knowledge. But we have to remember too that even though we have different cultural backgrounds, we can still be business owners, we can still be entrepreneurs, we can still be friends, we can still collaborate, we can still communicate with each other because we have similar goals and aspirations. So having a platform like L&D is important because here, based in the States, people may not know and understand that, but here's an opportunity for them to learn and be engaged, not just with me, but with yourself, because as you know, podcasting is a big thing now. There are people that want to learn how to create a podcast, how to build a podcast for their business and even in education. There are institutions, nonprofit NGOs that are interested in taking web development, AI, podcasting, metaverse, and blending all of that together. And here we have a dynamic team where that can be done. With the metaverse aspect, that's virtual environments. People can go to school virtually on the metaverse as an avatar. How cool is that? You know, it's great to see yourself.
Every kid's dream.
Yeah, and you could stream. It's like, you know, you're an avatar, and you're talking to someone from Russia, or you're talking to someone from Ukraine, or you're talking from someone from Costa Rica, or the United States, or UAE, or Britain. It doesn't make a difference because of the technology. AI brings in another part because you're able to build your comprehension, build your literacy, understand the language and development aspect by the prompting and asking questions. Aida and I are working with 3 projects now where, excuse me, she's working with a group of girls and women in Uganda that are farmers that want to expand their business. I'm working with a group in Uganda as well, in Lyra. We just had a pilot program where I was teaching them how to use AI. We had a group in Nigeria where we were teaching elementary students how to access AI and use different types of technology and blend that. And we have some more trainings coming up where we're managing the different areas of technology, but in areas that we're not strong at, we are collaborating with other groups. Do you have someone that can teach podcasts? Now we have reference to you. Do you have someone that can teach mathematical development or different areas? Now we have Manus. So it blends us all together as a team, and our team can be a blessing globally. The other part as well is in the religious aspect. There are a lot of ministers and those in ministry that are applying technology. We are part of a church called Launch Church Dax, and we manage their technology. We're building a metaverse site for our church to broadcast and stream our events and activities for people internationally. That way we all can share our faith. And it's not just Christianity. We're Christians, we're followers of Christ, but we have brothers and sisters that are Muslim. We have friends that are Hindu. So it still brings that aspect of community and communication and respect for each other. I know I drew that out a little bit, but I want to try to make sure I answered your question.
Yeah, actually, you are very clear with your answer. I understand what you mean, and this is very valuable impact of L&D to their world of business, learners, teachers, everyone, all the aspects, all the groups of people. And next, let's talk about business impact more clearly. For the business listener, what should they understand about L&D today?
Well, they should understand that this is a resource that was not available several years ago. L&D blends academics, it blends entrepreneurialism, it blends business development, it blends business consultation. So all those elements that you may look at individually and trying to find resources and help, now it's collectively in L&D. For example, L&D Nexus, because it is a team of people that have the same vision to help others grow and develop. But they're using technology in a way like, okay, we're having a podcast. The podcast is being recorded and it can be shared, but that's not the end of it. They can reach out to you for more information about how do you build a podcast? How do you monetize a podcast? How do you create a podcast for a specific group? So internationally, there are more women organizations that are growing and developing. So their focus may be on creating a podcast or having you use your skills to help them build a podcast dedicated to women's issues. The other thing could be youth, teens, and young adults that want to talk about sports, or they want to talk about gender issues, or they want to talk about social issues. Whatever you have, there are tools within our L&D community that are able to help each other and build community.
Mhm. And what are the special features of L&D Nexus which will give you reasons to advise business people to use it in their practice?
Well, one of the things that even though ingrained with L&D Nexus, you have people with diverse backgrounds. When you see us, the beautiful thing about it is we are all different shades of greatness. That being said, that we all bring something to the table that encourages people and inspires people and invites people to come and talk to us, to hire us in some cases as consultants, to see the different dynamics in what we do, where we're located, but also importantly, our background history. As I shared, I was a physical education teacher for 15 years. That's rare to see someone in physical education, but now they're in technology. Usually people that are in physical education stay there and become coaches in different sports. I like to say I got bit by the tech bug and broadened and expanded. So I've been blessed to be able to have worked for NASA, teaching for NASA. I've taught on university level. I've taught in elementary education. I've taught in different areas, but also my wife as a business consultant for women. My wife is an AI certified artist. So those that are interested in those art areas have someone in reference. So all of our collective skills, talents, and gifts are beneficial on a global platform, which helps people understand that the world is a global platform. The world is diverse. It is inclusive. Once you get the mindset of we can all help each other, and L&D Nexus has those capabilities and the desire to do that.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you,
Mhm.
William, for such a powerful and insightful conversation. This is clear that L&D isn't just a tool, it's actually a movement that can
Yes,
truly empower the next generation of innovators and leaders.
yes.
So, for everyone listening, if you want to learn more about William Jackson and his wife, Aida, sorry.
That's okay.
So, so you can learn about them in the links below the show. We will attach.
Okay.
Thank you. I wish you a great day. I wish you a great time. Enjoy, learn, and develop yourself. Grow. Let's grow together. See you.
Thank you. It's great.
Thank you.